All right, definitely making some good progress there. Um, let's see. Probably should talk about the question you had first regarding the foot tap and metronome, all that stuff. Um, Nothing wrong with how you demonstrated Troy's idea of tapping your foot and your hand. I don't think it needs to be your left foot. It can be whatever foot you want. Like I'll go between my right and my left depending on how I feel like doing it. Sometimes I'll actually alternate between the two. Um, I mean, yeah, you can do that. Tapping your foot and using your hand to something else, or doing your hand to tap out what the rhythm would be. It's not a bad idea. It certainly gets you more used to complicated rhythms, but you'd have to build that up like anything else. You need to play it slow enough to where you got a good idea of what's happening, slow enough you can think about all the individual parts, and certainly start with something more simple than all that offbeat rhythm stuff where every bar is different. That's not something I'd have anybody start with if they're new to that. um, Tapping your foot along with the metronome, I think that's, I mean, yeah, you really need to do it as much as you can. Like, I'm always tapping my foot along with it best I can. I try and get better at it and try and be able to tap along faster. So, at faster tempos, instead of tapping every single beat, I'll tap my foot, usually on like the first and third. So, like every other beat. If it's a 3-4 time signature like this one, I might just tap my foot at the beginning of each bar. It really depends on what's happening, how fast something is, but you get locked into that foot tapping when you're playing. It really does make a big difference in how solid your rhythm is. Whenever I'm recording something, it just sounds better when I listen back if I tap my foot. If I didn't tap my foot, it's never as tight. It's never as precise. So, with this legato rhythm, everything's just eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, quarter note. So, tapping along with that, tapping your foot to every beat, you'd have your one and three. Let me do it like this: one and three, one and three. So you could, tap your foot and then do your hand like that. Something I used to do, just like a bunch of air drum stuff, but maybe air drum doesn't count because I'd be smacking something. But yeah, I used to do a bunch of air drum things or hand drumming, try and get different patterns down, and or just like a 1, 2, 3, and 4 to ka to ka. So boom, 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 and I could not get my freaking foot, and hand to be separated. I mean, I can do it now, but at first it was like, and I had to use the hand going down at the same time as the foot, and I feel like getting used to the hand drumming, and actually it helped me have a bit more independence of limbs. But you know, strumming, what I have people do when they're learning rhythm, you definitely tap the foot, play along with the metronome, count out loud, and then strum chords with it. Because that's a lot easier than trying to apply legato and all that stuff if the goal or the necessity is to learn how to count, how to read and count rhythm stuff. But yeah, I mean, you played it fine. You played it great. I mean, you got up to 300, even if you're following along with Guitar Pro, that's fine. It sounded solid, and that's what we want. Because the goal here is not necessarily learning how to read all kinds of complex rhythms. It's gaining better and better control over the hammer-ons and pull-offs. And we got some slides on this one this week. So, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Doing the Troy Stetina thing. You can if you'd like to, but I doing something like that, I would start with much more simple rhythms so you can ease into it. With the number one from last time, so I'm kind of expanding on it here. This one, it did seem like at the higher speeds there was a smoothness that was missing. So I don't know if it felt still smooth to you or not, but this is what I want you to do this week, or I guess the next couple of weeks, since I'm out next week. Get up to a point where go up in the fives, and when you reach a point it no longer feels smooth, I want you to decrease the speed by at least 20 beats per minute. Make sure it feels smooth there again. For example, let's say you're working up and you get to 180, and it's not feeling so smooth anymore. Drop it down to 160. See if it feels smooth there. If it still doesn't feel too smooth, drop it down like maybe 150. Basically, keep decreasing the speed until it feels really smooth again. And then go up in ones for the rest of the session. Go up in 1 beat per minute increments. So basically, we want to find a speed where the smoothness starts to go away. Drop it back down to where it definitely feels smooth again. And then very slowly creep that speed up, because we want to maintain that smoothness. One thing that might help, I noticed that you don't do any anchoring. I think we talked about this, but I can't really remember. I think you may have said that you tried doing that on some stuff, but I feel, well, at this point it's worth mentioning again. Because like I've tried to kind of mimic how you were picking things. And so, change angle here. Like you're playing, I know, I think you said you found me because of Troy Grady. So then I believe you're familiar with the whole scooping kind of thing. Kind of playing like that. It seems like you might be doing that a little bit. And, you know, I'm big on if it sounds good, that's all that matters. But I think we might need to focus on being more specific with the technique, making specific motions so it sounds smooth and feels smooth the whole time. Because one thing Troy talked about with the whole, we'll say, downward pick slant, or as he now calls it, I believe, upward escape motion. Now, it's not a straight on line. There's some curve to it. But trying to have like this same path down and up versus this. So we don't want that. So let's say going down and away, up and away, down and away, up and away. We're going to go down and in, up and away, like that. So it's closer to a straight line going this way and that way, and further away from this kind of motion. Again, I know there's a bit of a curve to it, so it's not 100% of a straight, 100% a straight line. But anyway, I hope that makes sense. So I feel like if you anchor the pinky, you have a better sense of where the hand is and what the hand is doing. So you could also try doing this with a bit of palm muting. Because the palm mute does lend itself well to slanting the pick down this way, which can help reinforce that kind of motion and decrease that. So that's worth experimenting with this time. I know we talked about, you know, focusing on speed picking versus palm muting stuff, but sometimes palm muting can actually help the speed picking sound and feel better. So that might be worth trying on this one. In fact, it's definitely worth trying. See if it helps you maintain more smoothness when you play this one. try some palm muting on it. See if it helps. It doesn't always work very well on the higher strings, but the lower strings, yeah. Like I'll kind of palm mute things down here, and then kind of turn away from that on the higher strings. But anyway, and that again, that's like if I'm doing a bunch of stuff where I'm leading the string after an upstroke. Okay, let's play this. One, two, three, four. Try and hit a better jump to this A note. That's the other thing I was hearing. A lot of times after you finish the... It sounded like you would hit the G and then slide up into the A. Let's try and get a better, more precision on changing positions here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it with and then without the palm mutes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Without the palm mutes next. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do it without the anchor, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Feels like it requires a great deal more effort to keep the pick where it belongs. I'm having to really flex my forearm harder to keep everything where it's supposed to be. I feel like anchoring down here when I'm playing that, I'm allowed to, it allows me to ease up a bit. I don't have to be as tense. Not that there's anything wrong with a bit of tension when trying to play fast. Some tension is fine. It's totally fine. All right. 60 beats per minute for number 2. So everything goes 8th note, quarter note, 8th note, quarter note. So I'm going to count off what the rhythm's supposed to be and then start playing. But first, note-wise, we're still staying in like the whole A A minor scale shape stuff. So we got your 10, 12, 13 on both the B and E strings. And then you're going to slide up to 12, and then you get your 12, 13, 15. And then slide up to 13, 15, 17. So 10, 12, and 13 frets. 12, 13, and 15. And 13, 15, and 17. Okay. Here we go. 1 and 3. 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 Done. 1 and 3. 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 Done. 1, I'll also count it that way. 1 and 3, 1 and 3. 1 and 3, 1 and 3. Ugh, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 3, 1 and 3. Damn it. 1 and 3, 1 and 3. 1 and 3, 1 and 3. Okay. And number 3, finger synchronization. Pushing the difficulty a bit more. You're going to play the same thing twice in a row. So the first 2 bars are the same. Bars 3 and 4 are the same. Bars 5 and 6 are the same. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. One, two, 1, 2, 3. One, two, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I think that answered all the questions and stuff that you had. If I missed anything, definitely tell me. But yeah, any questions come up, let me know. And even though I'm out next week, if you reach some speeds, you know, those high speeds, turn things in early, that's totally fine. So if you're reaching a really smooth 240 with number 1, send that over early. If you reach 240 early with number 2, send it over early. If you reach 240 with number 3, send that over early as well. And send over at least a Guitar Pro file in response as soon as I can. Video probably have to wait until till the planned return date. But yeah, any questions, let me know, and I'll see you again in your new videos.